Somebody call up Captain America. Somebody get Thanos in here. It is the end game, folks. And yes, I am saying it. It is the end game, even though the Vancouver Canucks have like 20-something games remaining on the season. It's tight. And tonight, the Canucks will go out there and play off against the Montreal Canadiens at 7 p.m. PST. This game is going to be a barn burner. Not in terms of the actual contents of the game, but in terms of what it means. Because the Vancouver Canucks right now in the wild card race in the Western Conference are in a pretty tight spot. They're just outside the playoffs, looking in. They have one fewer point than the Calgary Flames. It's really a battle for that last wild card. I think Minnesota is a little bit too far ahead there, but ultimately, it's like a four-way-ish battle for wild card number 2 in the West. Calgary, Vancouver, St. Louis all in there, and then Utah does have a chance to maybe spoil things if they go on a run. So things are tight in the Pacific Division, and in that second wild card, the Vancouver Canucks have a game tonight, and these are the implications. Take a look at this. Tonight is a big game for the Vancouver Canucks via Noah Strang. If the Canucks beat the Habs in regulation, their playoff chances jump 5.8% to 42.4%. If the Canucks lose in regulation, their chances crater 9.4%, down to 27.3%. Vancouver has a rough 30-ish 7% chance of making the playoffs, but if they lose today, that chance goes down to 27%. In regulation, that is. So, a lot of points are up for grabs here. These are the most expensive and most important 2 points the Vancouver Canucks have on the line all year. And it gets even crazier when you acknowledge they're playing the Calgary Flames tomorrow. So this wildcard race could very well be decided by today if the Vancouver Canucks end up winning against Montreal, and then tomorrow if they beat Calgary in regulation, that will also be a huge dagger in this race. But that's not what this video is going to be about. This video, wherein we have talked about the standings, is actually an introduction to what we're going to see later today, or maybe even later in the season. Because this show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Go out there, check out that first link in the description to save some money in your VPN, get some free months, and support this YouTube channel in the process. Today, we are talking about my client, Brock Boeser, everybody. The reigning, defending, undisputed Vancouver Canucks not signing champion of the world. Brock Boeser is on an expiring contract, $6.65 million, and we had some comments as to where these conversations could be going from some analysts on the radio. Take a look at this. Dan Riccio and Satir Shah had Frank Seravalli on Canucks Central yesterday on Monday, and Reach tweeted out that Seravalli on Canucks Central believes that Friday's fallout will lead to Brock Boeser testing free agency. A reply goes out there and asks, haven't we known he's going to free agency for months? Reach replies, no. Brock's always been steadfast in saying that he wants to stay in Vancouver. A reply goes out there and asks if we take PA at face value over Boeser's market value, why not sign an extension if he wants to stay? He's 100% walking. If I were him after this, I'd be gone. It was clear in his latest interview his tone has changed. There are so many things to dive into as to why this is happening, but we've kind of chronicled a bunch of it over the past few days, so I think a lot of that context has been established here on this YouTube channel, from the Canucks not wanting to make their team worse, to not wanting to straight up accept a regular trade for Brock Boeser without any assets coming in exchange, to how they were offered a first-round pick from the Carolina Hurricanes, but that first-round pick came in the last half hour of the trade deadline period, so they were not able to formulate a 1-2 double whammy deal. We saw this earlier on in their careers. We saw this earlier on in the season. Bo Horvat traded for a first. The first gets traded for Hronek. JT Miller traded for Hedel and a first. The first gets traded for Marcus Pettersson. It seems like the Canucks wanted to do the same thing here with Brock Boeser, trade him for a first, and then trade that first for a player, but the players that they wanted were all gone, and the first-round pick they got was at the very end of trade deadline day, so there was no move to be had, and then Patrick Allvin made the comments that he did, which I think at this point you have to say, he might regret those comments. Those were not the right assortment of words to use in that conversation. It might be true. It might very well be true that the Canucks were not offered a first-round pick or any significant offer up until the end of trade deadline day. But the way it came out and the way it's being perceived, I think if Patrick Allvin had a chance to backtrack those comments where he said, yeah, if you had seen the offers that I got for Boeser, I'd have to walk out of the room. They were so bad. Kind of disrespectful to the client. We'd been talking about that since Friday. And now, with Vancouver already reported to have offered Boeser different contract offers over the week, and him saying no to all of them, Saravalli on Canucks Central believes that everything that happened on Friday will lead to Boeser testing free agency. And for what? For a 27% chance of the Canucks making the playoffs if the Canucks end up losing today's game against the Montreal Canadiens? That's exactly what we're seeing here. This is why the Vancouver Canucks didn't trade Brock Boeser, because they wanted to keep this 42.4% alive just in case they beat Montreal. We'll see what happens, of course. But for now, things are not looking all too great. And we do have some extra updates as well from Brock and the situation. This is what Nick Kypreos said on Kipper and Bourne earlier yesterday. I had a source from another team tell me the offers weren't that bad. He thinks the Canucks got a decent offer or two for Brock Boeser. And so this is where we dive into even more. If Patrick Allvin is saying that he didn't get any significant offers, and Friedman's reporting they wanted a first but they didn't get it, Saravalli also said, quite frankly, on, I believe it was Canucks Central, something like that. Saravalli did say yesterday that the Canucks did not get offered a first-round pick for Boeser, but Patrick Johnston and Rick Dhaliwal all said that they did from Carolina towards the end. So it is kind of mixed messaging here, but Kypreos, of course, does have his own sources, and saying that he had a source from another team say that the offers weren't that bad. You kind of have to start thinking, man, what's Patrick Allvin's standard for Brock Boeser? What is it that they wanted for this guy? We all know this. Teams are offering first-round picks. The problem was they were asking for teams' young second-line centers, like Josh Norris, Dylan Cousins, etc. Those guys were already traded for each other at the beginning of deadline day, so we'll see whether or not that actually manifests into anything more by the time the draft comes along, or when free agency opens up, if Brock Boeser just leaves and the Canucks lose him for nothing, which is totally gonna happen here, man. Let's go out there and look at one more tweet, because when it comes to Brock Boeser, lost in all this conversation, is Brock Boeser the guy himself? Because earlier on on Sunday, there was a conversation going around about Brock Boeser losing the A on his sweater and giving it to Marcus Pettersson. Farhan Lalji in particular went out there and spoke about it, saying that it was disrespectful and this was not really a good thing for the Vancouver Canucks, and it was a really interesting conversation here. Let's see if we can find the tweet. Here it is. Late to this, but I hate that the Vancouver Canucks have taken the A from Brock Boeser and given it to a player who has been here for 5 weeks. Seems entirely needless, and it sends a message. Then you had a bunch of people going out there and asking, is this really a big deal? Is Rick Tocchet disrespecting Brock Boeser by not giving him the A? Rick Tocchet spoke about that yesterday. He said, yeah, no, it's not that I'm disrespecting Brock, it's that we've been rotating the A all year. And Tocchet was very clear to say, I want to shut that down right away. I want you to understand that I'm not disrespecting Brock here, and he doesn't feel disrespected by it. That was confirmed today when Brock Boeser spoke out about this situation earlier in the morning. It didn't surprise me at all that Marcus got the A. He is such a leader in this locker room. We rotated the A's earlier in the year, so I wasn't shocked at all. Brock has taken the high road here. Yeah, he kind of is, right? Need a public apology from Farhan Lalji. Okay, we don't really need that. But with this in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Frank Saravalli saying that he thinks that Brock Boeser is going to leave, about the drama, about Rick Tocchet not giving the A to Boeser and whether or not that's a big deal, how the Canucks actually did get some pretty meaningful offers according to some sources, and how everything shapes up since then. It's a total colossal tire fire of a situation that we're watching, but I want you to let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.